Alright, the Apocalypse Twins is the second volume of Remender's Uncanny Avengers, and this really is a step up to me from the first story arc. And I mean that in a good way. Um, with the transition from X-Force to Uncanny Avengers, Remender had to go and make some changes, obviously, with the first arc, and now we're back onto dealing with more of the Apocalypse stuff like he was doing in X-Force. Um, don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video or not, but I do intend to go back and review Remender's X-Force. There's an omnibus which is coming out in March that I plan on getting my hands on. I do still have the single issues, and before that omnibus comes out, I will, sometime before that, try and at least go back and do like a massive review of it. Might have to be done in a couple of parts to break that down, but I just really fell in love with reading that X-Force, and now to see it continuing in this is really a good thing. I'm glad that we're still able to deal with some consequences which from that story were really, or at least from the Dark Angel saga, were really well written and get to be that much expanded on so much more. And kind of to do with the fact now, too, that since it seems to be that Singer is wanting to do the X-Men Apocalypse movie that he's proposed after Days of Future Past, I think that there's a good chance that this will be able to stay on for the next couple of years at least, so this will be fun. I've kind of figured out now, too, that if Uncanny X-Force had been going on, and this was it, but just with the X-Force lineup, the Apocalypse story would be, we would do a story that does a continuance of everything that spun out of the X-Force first volume, and then we kind of have some filler stories in between that would deal with the characters lined up in it, and this seems to be continuing that tradition on here. For those who haven't read the X-Force run, fear you might be lost, don't worry. There is enough of the stuff that ties down with Apocalypse that's laid out in one of the subsequent issues, and you will be filled in enough on what's going on and basically who has a lot of skeletons in their closet. And particularly in this story, that involves Wolverine and Thor. Wolverine had basically been involved with the X-Force group, and the fact that they supposedly went and had like this Black Ops assassin team, Cap is pissed off to find out about this, and basically him and Wolverine have it out over this, and Thor's got to come up and say, well, yeah, that's kind of bad, but with the situation that comes along with the twins, I'm not entirely sure I can blame him on that. And then Thor basically goes and tells a backstory about how what he did in the past affects this. And what it winds up being is that Thor, thousands of years ago, and which very reminiscent of the way that Jason Aaron writes him in God of Thunder right now. Remender has a good voice for that. Shows that Thor encountered Sabanur himself back thousands of years ago, and they fought, and there's something to do with this magical axe that was originally enchanted by Loki to help Thor take on Apocalypse, and it actually kind of winds up backfiring on him in the present time. The twins, the last time that we saw them in issue 5 was that they were still infants, and now Kang's got them. He's going into the time stream, and he returns with them, and they're adults now. Kang's been raising them like a surrogate father because there is some kind of mutant thing that happens in the future that he knows that these two are responsible for fucking up, and he's taken over the time stream with them solely to manipulate that this doesn't happen. And there's kind of some stuff that laid out right now that whatever ideas he had kind of went and backfired on his future self. And the twins really show that they are not playing with what the plans are that they have in this story. There's some major, almost event level stuff that goes down in this. It's just think like this story is ambitious as what Hickman's Avengers is, but it has like much more dire consequences than what's going on over in the main Avengers book. And what I mean by major shit is the fact that the twins show up and the first thing that they do is there's kind of a little bit of an infight in Clan Akaba with Apocalypse's true son who wants to rule the clan. The twins show up. They go and they take out a Celestial, which is a very big deal in this story. And they basically proceed to go and enact this plan to rapture all the mutants off of Earth and kind of put a stop to the fighting. And in doing this, they kind of go to Wanda and offer her the chance to make amends for the wrong that she did in the past when she almost caused the mutants' extinction. And what's really interesting about this is that they go to her and they say in these terms, hey, look, we're here not to make threats to you. All we're trying to do is reason with you. We're not going to lay a guilt trip on you or anything. We have a way to prevent mutants and humans from breaking out into a big war. And mostly because they're trying to reason the stuff that comes up with the Red Skull in the future that they're trying to prevent. And they needed her to cast the spell which would rapture the mutants off the planet and have them taken away off of the Earth. And the excuse me, the choice that they give them is really interesting to me in this story. Because usually any time that you have a story told where the villain makes the offer to tempt the hero with joining forces with them or trying to blackmail them into something, there are consequences for that. Now, basically, these two go up to her and say, hey, you have the opportunity to fix this, and if you do that, that's great, and if you don't, basically everything is your fault. And I think that's really interesting that they try and approach her like that. Kind of goad her into a little bit of a guilt trip, which is pretty good. We still have a lot of great character stuff going on in this story. I love what they do with Rogue and Wanda's relationship, which is basically those two have not really become friends still, but Rogue is still there kind of giving her shit, but she's backed off a little bit. Sunfire, Wonder Man, and Wasp are brought into the group. Sunfire is just kind of a background character in this, but he's a positive one. Wonder Man has decided to take up being a pacifist now, and everybody seems to respect him for it. But the biggest change that they've made in this is since they brought the Wasp on the team, she shows up and she has to be the big bigot on the team. She goes out and it's kind of provoking havoc a little bit, especially with the whole I don't like being cast as a mutant. I'm a person, and it's something that everybody's making fun of him for. Which is funny if you read some of the other X books. Basically, a lot of the other writers are making fun of Remender for having Havoc say this stuff, and he's sticking to his guns on it, which I respect him for that. But a lot of people just find it laughably bad that he's gone on this. I'm trying to give up my whole mutant identity thing, and I just want to be a person like the rest of you. Why can't we just be people? And that's kind of interesting to me. And when they finally get into the suspense of, Wanda being actually taken by the twins and given this offer, the twins do have to take care of the other Unity Squad members who are trying to come after them and stop them. And to do this, we get yet another version of the Four Horsemen, but with a very good twist on it this time. basically what they've done is that the Twins have designated key members of the Unity Squad that need to be dealt with specifically. So what they do is they go back and they resurrect certain people to personally mindfuck and keep certain members of the Avengers busy. A couple of them I saw coming, and then there were a couple of ones that raised eyebrows with me. Because obviously we get Doc back, and I think that whole build-up was kind of something that was going into this. And we get the Grim Reaper back real quick, and then we get two others in here. One that I was kind of excited to see, and then another one which just kind of made me roll my eyes. But I do like how he was brought in to deal with Thor in this. There's a lot of stuff really going on in this. I absolutely love what Remender is doing with this. The character stuff is fine. There's a little flaw in the logic with Havoc's whole anti-mutant speech, which I still kind of respect Remender wanting to stick to his guns about that, but it's not really a good thing when everybody else is still kind of laughing at you about that. But we're just going to have to kind of wait and see how the rest of this folds out. Oh, wait, there is one thing I forgot to mention, which is the Age of Ultron issue that ties in with this. Basically, from what I can tell, it's a very minute tie-in book to that event. I haven't read Age of Ultron yet. I've had most people tell me that it's pretty bad. And it's just kind of a inconsequential tie-in book to that event. It's basically Kang taking the Apocalypse Twins out for a test that he's doing somewhere in the future, and they kind of detect the fact that Ultron has gone and done something to the time stream, and the twins go and tell Kang about this, and Kang just actually goes, shrugs his shoulders and says, well, it'll probably fix itself. Which is pretty much what happens, so it kind of renders the issue just okay, but not really necessary. Overall, this story arc is a little bit, is quite better than the first one. It continues to build on a lot of things that was presented in the past. And as far as having to do a lot of improv in here, I think Remender's still doing pretty good with this. So, on the long run, I am going to recommend getting this.